Hello, welcome to the 225 Q&A practice. Today we're going to start out with defense attorney questioning. Ready? Hello, Heather. I'm Barbara Keoff, and I represent Rodney Jacobs, the defendant in this action. Have you had a chance to talk with your attorney before this deposition? Yes. Are you a little nervous? Yes. You've never had a deposition taken before, have you? No. Okay, seated to my right and to your left is the court reporter, and she's taking everything down that we say, and it's going to be later transcribed into a little booklet that will read Q for question, A for answer. It almost looks like a play script. You'll have an opportunity at some point to make any corrections and look it over. If you said something that you didn't want to say, you can change it. You can do that at a later time. But the oath that she administered already, you took a solemn oath that you will tell the truth. So even though you are going to be allowed and have an opportunity at a later time to make corrections if you need to, you've taken an oath right now to tell the truth. So what I'm going to be asking you is, do you understand that the oath you just took was to tell the truth? You have no reason to lie. I have no reason to trip you up or anything like that. I just want to find out a little bit about the auto accident that you were in, okay? If you don't understand any of my questions, just let me know, and I'll try to rephrase them so you do understand. I may be asking you questions that would call for an estimation as opposed to a guess, and I'd like to just briefly explain the difference between a guess and an estimate. I know you're not a driver. You're not of driving age yet, are you? No. If I were to ask you how wide the circumference of this little table is before us, you could probably give us a good estimate because you see it, right? But if I ask you how wide is my table at home, you'd be guessing because you've never been there. Do you understand the difference? Yes. Because this is an oral proceeding, I'm going to be asking and talking to you orally. It's important that you respond orally. So if I ask you a yes or no question, please answer yes or no, or I do not recall, or rephrase it please, or something like that. But don't give any or because our reporter may mistranslate it. She may not understand what you are saying. The same thing with the shakes of the heads and nods to indicate yes and no. Does that make sense? Yes. If you have any questions, you are doing great so far, but if you need to speak to your attorney, I'll be more than happy to leave the room and you can talk to him. We'll take a little break. I'm sorry, you can talk to her, and then we can resume. We can take a break in the proceedings and come back in a minute or so, okay? Okay, great. You're doing fine so far. Any questions? No. Do you remember the date of the accident? It was Good Friday. It was March 29th, I believe. I'm not really sure. What year? 2011. How old were you then? 12. Are you 14 now? Yes. What is your birthday? June 13th. Isn't that right? So your birthday is June 13th, 1999. Thank you. Where do you live? Hesperia. Do you have the street address, please? Yeah, 14657 Eucalyptus. How long have you lived there? 12 years. Do you know who you live there with? My mom and my sister. Is that your sister Jennifer? Yes. How old is Jennifer? She's 12. Okay, do you go to school? Yes. What school do you go to? Hesperia High. Are you in 8th grade? 9th. I knew that one. What time of day did this accident occur? I really don't know around what time, but I'd say about 1. I'm not really sure. Is that an approximation? Yeah. 1 p.m.? Is that a yes? Yes. Don't worry. We'll try to catch them. Where were you coming from? I was coming from my home. And who was driving? My mom. Was there anybody else in the car with you other than you and your mom? My sister. Jennifer? Yes. And your mom, your mother? Pam. She's sitting to your right? Yes. Anybody else other than the 3 of you in the car? No. Was it a car or was it a truck? It was a truck. Who owned that truck, do you know? My mom. And where were you seated in the truck? In the middle. Was Jennifer seated to the right? Yes. And your mother was driving? Yes. She was to the left of, yeah, that's right. Isn't it? Now, the truck that you had, did it have 3 individual seat belts? Yes. So it wasn't bucket seats. It was one long seat? It was one long seat. You'll see in the transcript, it's going to be jumbled. He'll state a question, and then there will be your answer, and then the rest of the question will be stated. So wait until he finishes, and he'll try to give you the same courtesy, okay? So you were in the middle. Jennifer was on the right. Yes. How far from your home was this accident? Did this accident occur? About a mile or so, mile and a half. Where were you heading? To Riverside. Did you have business in Riverside? Relatives. You were going to visit relatives? Yeah. Was it for the Easter weekend? Yeah. You didn't have any school that day, did you? Yeah, my mom took us out a little bit early. Did your mom pick you up from school? Yes. And then she took you home and you packed your bags and then you left? Yes, and we ate. Okay, I see. Did you make any stops between your home and the accident? Yes, we went to a Shell gas station. Where is this Shell gas station? On the corner of Mariposa and Bear Valley. I assume that was to get gas in the truck, right? Yes. Did your mother have to get the car checked or anything like that before she left from the gas station? No. By that I mean, did anybody look under the hood or check the tires? Oh no. What street did the accident occur on? Bear Valley. Was it an intersection? Well, we were stopped for a stoplight, but it was like a row of cars, so yes. Were there a row of cars ahead of you? Yes. And that was the stoplight that was ahead? Yes. Do you know what the intersection is where the stoplight is? It's not really an intersection. It's over an overpass, a signal. God, it was so long ago because they've changed Bear Valley Road now. It's all different. What I'm interested in is what it really looked like on the day of the accident in 2011. Was the traffic signal there, or the freeway access, the freeway on-ramp? I'm pretty sure it was because we were going to go on to I'd say yeah. So your intention was to go on to the freeway? Yes. What was the Interstate 15 freeway? Yeah. The 15? Yeah. Do you know what that was, north or south 15? No, I don't know my directions. I understand. Probably just now getting interested in directions because you'll be driving very soon. Next year? Yeah. Her mom is cringing. 2 years, huh? I'm 14 and a half, 15 and a half. Were you supposed to be in Riverside at any particular time? No. You weren't going to meet relatives at somebody's house at that particular time? No. What were the road conditions like that day? And by that, I know it's been a couple of years, but do you know if the traffic was stopped or go or light or heavy or anything like that? It wasn't really heavy at all. You said there were a few cars ahead of you and stopped at the light, right? Yeah. How many lanes are there in that direction of travel, in your direction of travel, on Bear Valley Road? I'd say 2. Do you remember which lane you were in? The one right next to the edge, the one to the far left, or the right? The one to the far right, because we were next to the shoulder. Okay, I'm going to switch transcripts. Okay, this is going to be plaintiff. That's questioning. Okay. Here we go. He didn't tell you that he didn't know whether it was a car or an ambulance, did he? Maybe I misunderstood him. I had the impression that he understood he was in a police car. There is no question in your mind, doctor, that the defendant had voluntarily been drinking. Is that correct? That he had been voluntarily taking the alcohol? Yes. Doctor, you are familiar with Dr. Klatt, are you not? Yes. Is he also connected with the Orange County mental health area? Yes. Doctor, do you have any quarrel with the statement Dr. Klatt makes when he states that he, the undersigned, that Dr. Klatt cannot, of course, attest to the mental condition of the defendant at the time of the incident? I will object to that. It calls for a conclusion on the part of this witness. He is not aware of what facts Dr. Klatt was using to support his judgment. I will sustain the objection to the form of the question. Doctor, as a psychiatrist, you can't really attest to the mental condition of the defendant at the time of the incident. It's just an opinion. It can't be absolutely definite and proven, no. And do you agree with the old adage that a man's opinion is only as good as his facts? Yes. So far as the immediate incident, the situation, what was going on in his mind, you were getting this from the defendant? Yes. Isn't it a fair statement, doctor, that this psychiatric defense of not guilty by reason of insanity has been quite a bit of a play in the television and soap operas and movies in the last 10 or 15 years? Your Honor, I will object to that. There is no foundation and it is highly prejudicial, I believe, and improper at this time. I will rephrase it, Your Honor. The question is withdrawn. Go ahead. Doctor, this defense of not guilty by reason of insanity, in your impression, it's not exactly unknown to the layman as the people out of the community, is it? Objection, Your Honor, it's not relevant. Sustained. Doctor, did you ever hear the phrase that the devil made me do it? Yes. It's a phrase that is aimed at avoidance of responsibility, isn't it? Yes. Doctor, in the field of psychiatry, natural emphasis is to look at the human behavior. Is that true? Yes. In looking at human behavior, there is a natural emphasis to try to understand the human behavior. That's correct. Sometimes, doctor, don't we find that in the business of understanding human behavior, we sometimes slip into the area of excusing human behavior? That's a philosophical question, but I would assume it could happen, yes. Well, at least as to this actual hard question, whether the defendant was totally unable to understand the nature and quality of his acts. Your Honor, I'm going to object to that question as being a misstatement of the test. Your Honor, there is no diminishment of the test. I will permit you to finish the question, then let's see what it embodies. Doctor, do you understand that the test that was administered to the defendant has to be absolutely unable to understand the nature and quality of his acts? Yes. Your Honor, again, we will interpose the same objection and move to strike as not to the test. The question that was asked is not asking what the test is about. The question was asking if that is his understanding of what the test was. Now, doctor, from what you have told us, you are not able yourself to say to this jury that this defendant was unable to know the quality and nature of his acts, or that it was wrong. I believe my opinion was to the extent that his ability to comprehend the quality of his actions was seriously impaired to a point where he was probably unable to comprehend them at the time, and it was an irrational act, totally inconsistent with his usual behavior, and a problem of the acute intoxication. When you say probably unable, yes, I assume that you will use the word guardingly, probably unable, because you are not in a position other than to judge what the defendant told you to really determine what the process of his mind was that night. That is correct. Okay, that concludes our Q&A for the 225 class. Have a great day.